You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun of the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion. Delivered by conflicting media reports, we connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our, should I say featured guest or guests? Is it plural or singular?
Just guests.
Just guests still.
If I can't drive in the carpool lane, I'm just one.
Okay, so almost guests. Mary Gaston, Realty Pro 100, welcome.
Good morning.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money. I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Let's see. What do we have good here today? National Wisconsin Day. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Flag of Canada Day. Can I give it that two buzzers? Singles Awareness Day. I can't even remember that far back. Singles Awareness Day. Okay, National Gumdrop Day. We'll go with that one because I've beaten anorexia, so we can go there. Let's take a look and see what the markets are doing. The Dow Jones now down 109 points. S&P 500 down 7. NASDAQ is up 29. Oil up down $1.34 a barrel. Let's see what's going on in gas prices. Do we want to even see what's going on in gas prices? $4.66 a gallon here in the formerly Golden State. Go around the horn here. Nevada, Josh, you're at $4.16 a gallon. Still doing a bit better than us, but not exciting right there. Let's see where Jody over there in Arizona, $3.47. Brittany's at $4.06. And I am envious. Our tremendous underwriter, Lori, she's paying $3.13 a gallon. But you got to live in Louisiana for it. And I can say that because she said that to me when she was here recently. But you know something, Mary, you made an interesting comment.
Did I?
So way back when my wife was pregnant with our first, that was right around the time of the very early days of the carpool lanes. Mm-hmm. And she did get pulled over while pregnant, driving in the carpool lane.
And she tried to use that excuse?
She actually pulled out her ultrasound and showed it to the police officer.
No.
She did. and I can say this, being that she's not listening. She never does. So the police officer said, if you're crazy enough to believe this and carry that picture around, you're crazy enough to fight this in court. Now, I will say this, that police officer
yes, your wife is crazy?
Yeah. I was just going to say the police officer is very astute because I'm not going to be recorded here saying anything other than that. But I would say the police officer is very astute and very quick. So, maybe they've codified that now so that you can't go in the carpool lane. But just saying, back, what was that, 34 years ago? I do know people that actually tried going in the carpool lane as a single pregnant woman or as a individual pregnant woman. She wasn't single. We were married at the time. But so you might, I don't know if you want to try that, Mary. I don't know. Might be a little risky.
I'm not going to lie. I still drive in the carpool lane.
Oh, okay.
Whether I'm pregnant or not.
I know. This is recorded. So she's talking about with other people in the car. Obviously. Of course. So, it's fascinating. One of the things we're going to talk about today, and we're going to get really in depth today, is this changing real estate market. And you can basically go anywhere you want to go and get whatever opinion you want to get. They're all out there. It doesn't matter. If you want to say the market's going to go up, I can find somebody that'll prove that to you, or give you substantiate that. If you want to say the market's going to go down, we can find somebody that'll substantiate that for you as well. And I shared this yesterday. I'll share it again because I think it's important and it's very, very timely. And it was an article that was sent to me yesterday from my uncle. He doesn't listen to the show either. But it basically was about a CNBC headline yesterday. So he's on his iPad. He's got two stories side by side on his iPad. One from CNBC says stock futures slide after January's inflation reading increases more than expected. Article exactly next to it on his iPad. Wall Street Journal. January CPI report shows annual inflation cooled. What are you supposed to do? So here's the issue, and this is going to be the underlying theme of our conversation this morning with Mary Gaston. We're going to talk about the idea of real estate, your family, interest rates, and just making it simple. Because you can have an expert. I know some folks over at Chapman University, and some of them, they're brilliant people. I don't understand a word they've got to say. I've been told they're brilliant because, like I say, I can't understand them. Not from their accents or anything like that. It's just that they speak about things that, number one, I don't care about, and number two, I don't understand. So what we want to do today is, Mary's an expert in real estate. I've done this for way longer than most people want to even think about. Helped the first family that I helped get a loan in 1983. Some folks weren't even around at that time. But the bottom line here is we're going to make this very, very simple. We're going to take and say, where are real estate prices heading? We'll make it simple. Where are mortgage rates heading? We're going to make that simple for you. Should you buy a house now or should you wait? We're going to make that simple for you. We're going to give you all this information. Now, we're going to give you sources from lots and lots of people. And we're going to give you basic information. But we're going to talk to you about some things that we're going to bring it down to basically where we know the information is, but we're going to bring it down to the ultra simple because we understand that, you know, if you don't understand what's going on in this marketplace, I know exactly what you're going to do in this marketplace. Nothing. You're going to sit on the sidelines and say, you know something? I got this guy saying it's going up, and this one saying it's real estate's going to go down, and this one saying it's going to go sideways. And I'm just going to sit it out because I don't know what's happening, and I don't want to make a mistake. So the bottom line here is Mary and I are going to look at a whole bunch of numbers. We've studied these numbers. We deal with it on a daily basis, right? Mary is what's your formal title?
my former title. My formal
title. What, Chief Financial Officer?
Yes, I am the Chief Financial Officer at Realty Pro 100.
Okay, Chief Financial. That means she's really smart. Okay,
well,
so
you say I'm the expert. I would disagree. I just surround myself with very smart people and I study the numbers.
Right. So you.
I wouldn't call myself an expert, but yes, I do absorb it.
You absorb it and you look at it. I'm gonna submit that you look at it from a different perspective than me. Mm-hmm. Right. Your sphere of people that you're around I'm around old people. Right. You know, in my world, you know, you go to bed at 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night. In your world, you're probably just leaving to go out at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, I'm in bed by 7:30. I am an old soul.
An old soul. But most of your friends aren't.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got kids. I mean, my son goes out. He's starting to go out at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm saying, what the heck are you talking about? But then again, I'm up at 4 a.m. He's like, what are you doing there? He's just rolling over. Maybe he's just rolling in, but I don't know. But the bottom line is we're going to look at these numbers from two different perspectives. Mary and I have talked about this. If you've listened to Mary and I in the past, right, Mary's experienced, well, now you've got 2 recessions you've experienced.
Yeah, finally got 2.
You got to 2, right? And one of them is kind of an interesting one, but we're going to talk about these from this perspective. And I think you're going to find it fascinating because we're going to bring all these things right down to very, very simple concepts. And from different perspectives. Again, I'm dealing with grandkids. You're waiting on your first kid.
First time mom.
Right? So different perspectives. What do we have to look forward to? So we're going to talk about all that. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to go through the monthly market report. Should you consider buying a newly built home and more, you can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial when you're ready for that next home loan. Geneva's got the programs and the products. Hey, don't forget about the Home Select program. It is the best program out there. If you've got good credit, if you've got some equity in your property, you want to take a 30-year loan and pay it off in 11 years, doing nothing different, not even maybe not even making a mortgage payment. Think about that Home Select from Geneva Financial. It's a great, great product and gives you a lot of flexibility. S&P 500 right now, it's down 12.69. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. Yesterday, 30-year conforming loans locked at 6.44, up a little bit. Jumbo loans locked at 6.596, up a little bit. 30-year FHA loans, 6.30. That was up a little bit. The USDA loans, that's a 100% loan, no down payment in most rural areas, 6.294. That was about flat. And the best loan on the market was up ever so slightly. That's the 30-year VA loan at 6.124. But what's happening today? We've got the 10-year Treasury up 5 basis points. Mortgage-backed securities down 11 basis points. And the question is, why? Why are these things happening? What's driving this? Well, we got a good retail sales report this morning, up 3% in January, stronger than expectations. When stripping out automobiles and gas, it was up 2.4% after a negative November and December. This was a strong rebound and is applying some pressure to the bond market. Interestingly, the majority of the gain came from department stores. Does anybody go to department stores anymore? Sales were up almost 18%. Do you go to department stores?
I went to JCPenney's for the first time last week and didn't even realize they were still open in my town.
Okay.
Didn't even realize it was still around.
Didn't know they were around. And they've got some good stuff, especially for little ones. They've got great stuff. This was a big outlier, but maybe because January follows the December holiday month, I'm going to submit, and I'd have to look further into this report and see, because my guess is January sales are up, and they're going to continue growing. What's the number one gift at the holiday time? Would you think I would be way off if I said gift cards?
No, that would sound about right.
So
I would agree with that, maybe.
So are they putting the sales into the time when the gift card is purchased or when the gift card is redeemed? And I don't know that answer. My bet is they put it when it's redeemed because so few of them are redeemed. Mm-hmm. People get gift cards and then they lose them. Just throwing it. That's the way it is. So my bet is that retail sales get pushed out from the holidays. You get a gift card in December. You wait until January for the sales or when the stores are restocked, and retail sales go up. Just throw that out there for you. Cass Freight, great index, measures shipments and the cost to ship goods across the U.S. Shipment component was down 3.2% last month. And if this slowdown continues, it can be a recessionary indicator. It's a very early indicator. Mortgage applications for last week showing that purchases fell 6% last week and are now down 43% year over year. Interest rates increased from 6 1/8 to 6 3/4, up 2 3/8 higher than they were last year at this time. Again, part of that has to do with the fact that the federal government, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, government-sponsored entities decided to add more cost to loans and added about 1/8% to every loan based on their risk adjustments. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what's going on in the real estate world. Mary Gaston, Realty Pro 100. The millennial is with the old man right here talking about what's going on in the marketplace. And when I look at we get a whole report every month. Our friends over at Keeping Current Matters do a great job of summarizing the month into about 50, 60, 70 slides that they send us in a report. And we don't go through all of them now. But I love the way they do this. I've been with them for decades now. And I love this. Break it down real simple. People do not follow the best leaders. They follow the ones they can understand the easiest. Makes a lot of sense, right? If you don't understand, if I say, Mary, we need to move from point A to point B, and don't say, okay, well, are we going to use a truck? Are we going to use a train? Are we going to use a boat? Right? I mean, no one knows what the heck you're going to do. Are we going to walk? Right? If you don't understand the directions, you're in trouble. Right, Mary, we're going to go buy a house. Okay, is it going to be a big house, small house? Cheap?
How do we start?
Yeah, where do we start? Right? Now, my belief is, and most of the people I talk to, start with a consultation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that way, because what I might interpret as your needs, it might be completely all different than what you want.
Absolutely.
Right? So first thing that you're going to want to know about or have of interest, obviously, is, can I afford it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's the price? Where's the interest rates? What are my payments going to be? Pretty simple concept.
Yeah, most people don't even ask like where are the interest rates. They ask how much is it going to cost? What's my monthly payment
Right.
going to be?
Can I afford it?
Exactly.
Right. What can I afford? Mary, you need to tell me going backwards, right? I can afford $2,500 a month. Mary, now you need to tell me what are we going to go look at?
Exactly.
Right, as the real estate professional. So right now, that's been a scary thought because all the consumer hears is that rates are going up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, up until now, had you ever seen a 7% interest rate?
No.
Okay, right.
Not in my time.
Right, not in your time. You hadn't seen it. Old people like me, we've seen. My first house, 18%.
Oof.
Right, that was in the 80s. 18%. We were glad to just get the loan.
Yeah.
Right, you're looking at 7 and saying, when's it going to go back down to 3?
Exactly. Like,
Right?
I want to refinance. Come on, drop back down.
Drop down to 3. Now, I will tell you that I just helped a family with that Home Select loan that I mentioned a little bit earlier. Their effective percentage rate was 2.41. And this is recent. So think about that concept. But right now, I'm going to submit that for the most part, have your contemporaries started realizing that there is such a thing as a 7% interest rate? We got to live with it.
I think people are still a little bit in denial that they all think it's going to drop back down.
They think it's going to go down to all the way?
Maybe not all the way, but I think people, my age who haven't seen this kind of level before have been used. Because when I got into the business 10 years ago, it was sitting around 5 and it sort of like just hovered and teetered around there.
Right.
So I think most people my age are thinking, well, it spiked so fast, it's going to come down.
That
Just
which goes up quickly will come down quickly.
Exactly.
Okay. So the big question, okay, so then maybe some of the millennials haven't gone through all the stages of grief, right?
Yeah.
Right.
They are not yet in the acceptance phase.
They're not in the acceptance phase. Now, we have seen interest rates come down about a full percentage point since they're high.
Mm-hmm.
They've ticked up a little bit, but back in November, we hit about, I think it's 7.14 the middle of November. And, when our charts came out, this was at 6.09. We've gone up a little bit since then. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it definitely helps. Anything helps if they come down.
Right. But
it always helps the payments.
But I know that from a business standpoint, you're seeing more people coming into the market.
Absolutely.
The younger people, are they the ones coming in, or is it just older people?
No, there's younger ones too.
Okay. So starting to realize that can happen, and maybe we're getting used to it. Now, one of the things, Josh, I think we've got this slide here, that the 30-year fixed rate slide. I think that we talked about that one. Great, thanks. So basically what we're looking at here is 30-year fixed rates. When it was 7 and 7.5, buyer demand just tanked.
Yeah.
Right? You saw the same thing in the office?
Oh, it slowed down a lot.
Okay. Came back a little bit, started coming back as rates started dropping.
Yep.
Now, between 6 and 6.5, you're seeing, I think I heard last week that in your office, there was a lot of people showing up to open houses.
Oh yeah. And a lot more multiple offer situations again.
So, and that was when rates are between 6 and 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
So making this as simple as we can, between 6 and 6.5, we got a lot of activity.
Yep.
If rates go up, we don't know where they're going to go. But if rates go up,
They might slow down a little bit. Again.
might slow down.
Mhm.
If rates go down further,
It's going to get a little crazier.
pretty simple. I mean, how much easier does it get than that?
Yeah. The only reason it slowed down, it wasn't because the prices have gone up so much. It was because the rates went up so much. So a lot of people got priced out.
Explain that. Priced out.
They couldn't afford it anymore because
Couldn't
of
afford it.
Yeah. The interest rate went up too much and
The
they couldn't afford
affordability
it.
was
It was
the
gone.
affordability was gone. So again, you got to understand that. Now to make it simple, we actually did come out with a very, very simple, not easy for me to find, but we did come out with a very simple, oh, there it is, rsrbuydown.com, rsrbuydown.com. It's a real simple solution. We went through this several times on our radio programs. And what we've done is we've cut out from the radio programs this whole strategy and put it into this one simple place, rsrbuydown.com. So you can actually, maybe you want to get in. Now, right now we're between 6 and 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
I just showed this in an office yesterday. What do you think it would do to affordability if we were able to do a 4.5?
Oh, oh my gosh. The savings on that monthly payment is amazing.
Right. So rsrbuydown.com. We show you how to do it. Now let's take, whoops, I think I hit a wrong button here. And now I've got to figure out how to get back. Gotta love it. New listings now below previous years. So back in June, July,
Mm-hmm.
the listings that were going on the market, were they selling real quick? June,
Yes.
July of last year, they were selling quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. August, September.
Yeah, it started slowing down.
So as the interest rates went up,
It was slowing down.
the inventory, there still wasn't a lot of inventory, but that which was on the market wasn't selling immediately.
Correct.
November, December, when interest rates were at their peak.
Yeah, it
Scared.
was. Yeah.
Did you see a lot? Did you see people falling out of escrows at that time? People
There were some cancellations.
some cancellations.
Yeah.
And that's what we would expect. That's normal, right? As interest rates go up, people start getting that sticker shock and they say, you know something, I don't know if this is really the right time to buy.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing was because we always expect the winter months to be slower. They normally
Okay,
are.
right.
But this one
Seasonal.
was unseasonally slow.
Exceptionally slow beyond. Now, as soon as interest rates started coming down dramatically,
They started picking back up again.
in now yesterday we talked, and I don't have the whole thing on me. I can't count, so I said 5 Ds. We had 6 Ds yesterday that we actually talked about in catalysts for real estate moving quickly. I want to see what your thoughts are on these as well. Diplomas, diamonds, diapers, death, divorce, and defaults.
Yeah, I agree.
Those are all things that are going to bring people back into the market.
Absolutely. Life
Right.
changes.
Life changes. There's no reason that if you've got a 3% interest rate, unless you have one of those 6 catalysts, why are you going to sell?
Exactly.
Why are you going to buy with a 7% interest rate? We're going to continue this conversation with Mary Gaston when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily home and finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. Josh, I think we're going to skip that and just go right back into the session here with going through these, because we've only got through 4 slides. And I want to continue our conversation. Mary Gaston, Realty Pro 100. We're going through and just talking about making the real estate world simple. You can get great counsel from somebody, and if they can't make it simple and understandable, most of us are going to end up getting paralyzed. Right? I mean, if I go to a doctor and they give me 6 different options for fixing something that's wrong, I'm not a doctor. I don't understand all this stuff, and I may have to just wait on doing anything until I can figure it out. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So we talked about interest rates already. If you missed it, sorry, go back and listen to our replay, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. And we really simplified that. If you're waiting for interest rates, you may not find the property you want. If interest rates go down significantly, you're gonna have a lot more demand. It's gonna be harder to get a property. Yep. If you were looking at if you were shopping in January of last year, mm-hmm. You're probably frustrated as heck. Yep. Right? Multiple offers on everything. Prices were going up. It was a bidding war on everything. And people right now, do you want to sit and wait and do that again? Exactly. Not a good idea. Take action. Have a consultation with a professional. We talked about the idea that people are only buying because there's a need to. Now, let's see. When you've dealt with anybody buying a house, have you ever come across anybody at all that had buyer's remorse? I mean, I seem to think it's everybody. There's a little bit of, little fear, right?
I think there's always fear. I mean, I was scared when I bought mine.
Right.
For the first time. I was scared. I didn't have remorse, but I was scared as hell.
Okay, so maybe being scared of it is.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is now, how'd that turn out for you? Amazing, right?
Yeah.
And you're actually doing something that we've talked about in the past, so I'm not sharing anything out of school.
Yeah, go for it.
You're just rolling equity from one property to another, but keeping the old properties and building a portfolio.
Yeah, correct. That first property is now a rental. And then I had my husband do the same thing. He bought his first home in 2020, which is now a rental. And we just bought our home together.
So you've got the family home and 2 rental homes.
Yep.
And by the time you're 45, you probably have 2 properties that are making a lot of excess cash.
Absolutely. We're already cash flowing on them.
Already cash flowing. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and you're not 45.
I am not. 30 something.
30 something.
31.
Okay. So
I think.
third house at 31.
Yes.
And so that's a strategy, right? It's not that hard.
To be fair, I started when I was 27.
Okay.
Was I 27? 2017.
So it's not a long time.
It was 2017 I started.
But 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a long time. Right. So the bottom line is it doesn't take forever. Now, the home that you just bought with your husband, is that a forever home?
Yes.
The home that your husband had before you were married, was that a forever home?
It could have been.
Could have been. What about the one that you bought?
No.
Okay.
It was a little condo.
So you just got in the game.
Exactly.
Right. Get in the game and move forward. And you were scared when you did it, which makes sense because a lot of people are.
I had to have a co-signer on my first one.
Well, think about that. So you just got in the game.
Yes.
So you got a co-signer of a property that was not a forever home that's turned out that you may keep it forever because there's not a whole lot of reason to sell it. If you sell it, you got to pay taxes. And if you just borrow against it, you don't.
Yeah. The only thing that my husband and I would consider doing would be a 1031 exchange.
Okay. So in that one there, you need to understand it. You understand it's available. 1031 exchange is just a tool so that you don't have to pay taxes, right? You can defer your taxes. You don't have to pay them. You defer your taxes.
Yes.
Right. So
you exchange one property for a like-minded property.
Right. And if you want to do more information on that, give us a call. We'll be happy to go through that. But we're trying to just make this really, really simple. So the concept, do you have a fear that property values are going to drop dramatically?
No. I mean, even if they do, I'm holding, so it doesn't matter. I'm still cash flowing on it. So it has dropped. I mean,
Okay.
last year is probably worth 650. I get your monthly CMA thing to me every single month. And now it says it's worth 600. So
Okay.
it has dropped. I don't care.
Right. That's a good point, because
Yeah.
when do you care?
When you sell.
When you sell, right? And you're not selling, so what do you care?
Mhm.
Right? If you were selling or if you were refinancing, you might care.
Exactly.
Right? But other than that, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I took the equity out when it was high. I'm good.
So think about that concept, right? Take the equity out when it's high. You got the money to do what you want when you wanted. And initially you had identified a property that you wanted.
Yep.
Didn't work out,
Mhm.
and found something that you're happier with.
Yep.
Right? And it works out perfectly. The new listings right now are way below previous years. We're looking at the numbers right here. And if you look at January of 2017 through against January of 2023, we're down about 25%.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of drop there in new listings. Supply and demand, just simple supply and demand. If you don't have a lot of supply, prices are not going to drop a lot, right? Because we can go back to the same thing, that our 6 Ds. I'm gonna have to coin this, even though it came to me from a guest yesterday. Diploma, diamonds, diapers, death, divorce, and defaults. They all happen.
Absolutely.
Now, I did get numbers this morning from my favorite title company. Defaults are not really a major issue. Orange County has 499 defaults.
So not very many.
Right. Riverside County has 920. So, and
not even a drop in the bucket.
Right. Foreclosures, notice of trustee sales in Orange County, 312. Again, it's nothing. So what caused the recession that you referenced earlier was real estate. There was a lot of distressed property.
Yep.
Right. In 2008, 9, 10.
Absolutely.
Huge amounts of distressed property. We don't have that right now.
No.
Right. I just gave you the exact numbers. So if I look at the 6 Ds, the last one, we could basically say that's not existent. We shouldn't even count on that. Mike Simonson, I get a great report from Mike every Monday morning. And it says, I'm looking at the latest housing data and I see surprising demand indicators, including high home price resiliency and supply staying restricted. Who would have guessed that? Right? I mean, we wouldn't think that there's it's still going to be so balanced.
Yeah.
And in a balanced market, prices don't go down. So we don't have to really worry about that too much. They might from day to day. If you want to know what's going on in your area, rsrlistana.com, rsrlistana.com. It's going to give you a place where you can sign up to get a free report for any zip code in the country. And it'll tell you all the details about your specific zip code. Now, here's the issue. And I'm going to use this correlation here. And I like this correlation. Most of you are not going to know all of this data. Mary studies it. I study it. We both hear about it in offices all over. I talk about it on the radio all the time. So it's like a NASCAR driver, right? I could probably get into a NASCAR if I could fit, which I can't, and drive straight at a pretty decent mileage, right? Mile per hour.
Yeah.
If I have to turn, I'm in trouble, right? You could probably do the same, right? You're smaller, so you could probably fit easier in the car.
I don't know.
Well, maybe not.
Pretty big.
Mine stays big, and I'm not even doing a couple months. But the bottom line is what do you need the realtor for? To help you with that turn.
Exactly.
Right? You've seen in the 10 years you've been doing this, probably a lot of speed bumps. And now you're probably able to navigate those speed bumps almost like it's second nature. Right? And you've got a team of people that anything you haven't seen, some of them have been around 40 and 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you understand those things. The big banks, we count on big banks to understand what the heck's going on, right? Well, let's see. Goldman Sachs, they're a big bank. January 10th, 2023. We're forecasting real estate values are going to drop by 6.1% this year. It only took them 2 weeks to realize that they had overstated by almost double. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't know what the heck's going on. They're a big bank. They're not making it simple for you. We don't even hear the whole headline. They came out with a headline recently from Goldman Sachs that said real estate values are going to drop 25%.
25?
25%.
When?
this year. Now,
Okay.
you believe that, right?
Yeah, I'm rolling my eyes so hard.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what they didn't say, or what the headlines didn't show, was in Austin, Texas, San Jose, California, I think one city in Idaho, and might have been San Diego.
It's just the major areas.
The major areas that were up 35% last year might drop 25 this year. Maybe. Right? Basically, what they're saying is if it went up way, way too much quickly, it could come down. But I'm not sure those areas are going to even drop.
But it's not going to drop that much.
Right. Because there's no supply.
No.
There's no supply. If the supply was there, it might. So the question becomes, I can show you a chart that basically says maybe the home values have already hit the bottom. Right? That wouldn't surprise us, would it?
It would not.
If interest rates keep on dropping, or you go and you look at rsrbuydown.com and you can bring the interest rate down to maybe the mid fours, you might look at it and say, okay, something, maybe there's going to be more properties out there. And like Mary said just a minute ago,
yeah, it's been the same thing we've been talking about for years now. It's just the supply and demand. Yes, the supply or the demand went down because interest rates, but look at the chart we just looked at. So did the supply.
Right.
They're still pretty even keeled.
Right. So
those prices are not dropping.
Exactly. So the headlines out there, like I shared with you the one earlier in the opening segment, I would refer to most of the headlines out there as clickbait.
Absolutely.
Right? They're trying. Goldman Sachs comes out, real estate values are going to drop 25%. Diana Olick at CNBC, if the next time she gets something right on real estate, it'll be the first time. Right? I don't know how she keeps her job talking about real estate because she's never right. So whatever she says, do the opposite. There's 67% of Americans say a housing market crash is imminent in the next 3 years. Imminent in the next 3 years. Why? You have to have a catalyst for something to crash like that, right?
You do.
So what do the headlines say? U.S. foreclosure filings surged 115% in 2022.
Well, compared to 2021 when there was none.
Right. Okay, exactly. U.S. foreclosure, and I can't see the slides, too small for me to read.
U.S. foreclosure activity doubles annually, but still below pre-pandemic levels. And that's the key. It's still below pre-pandemic levels.
Exactly. And I don't even know where that headline came from.
It doesn't even say.
Oh, okay. Foreclosure filings rose 115% in the past year. That's from another service. Right? All these services are going out there saying that these numbers, but they don't tell you the truth. Even this one, I'm going to give you this because this was a report, and I'm going to tell you what the headlines showed or what the article showed, and then I'm going to show you what they fake news didn't tell us. I don't know if we have this, Josh. Slide 16. Adam, a leading curator of real estate data nationwide for land and property data, today released its year-end 2022 U.S. foreclosure market report, which shows foreclosure filings, default notices, scheduled actions, and bank repossessions reported on 324,237 U.S. properties in 2022. Before the pandemic shook up the market, foreclosure filings in 2022 were also down 89% from a peak of nearly 2.9 million in 2010. That's where the information came from, that they were up 115% from 2021 to 2020 before the 34%, but down 34%. They did not include that section in black. Josh, were you able to find that slide for us?
Exactly. And most of the people, they aren't clicking on the headlines to actually get that key
one before
piece
that
of information
one,
that is buried way deep in the article.
Right. They've already gone past it. So when you put this into the full thing, it says, were reported on 324,000 U.S. properties in 2022, up 115% from 2021, but down 34% from 2019, before the pandemic shook up the market. Foreclosure filings in 2022 were also down 89% from pre-pandemic numbers. Down 89%.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we are down.
Exactly. We're down. So if you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you're actually seeing this, and the part that was in black right there was actually the part that was the headline, and they skipped all those other lines of the report. It's phony news. It's fake news. It's built to scare you. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Mary Gaston, Realty Pro 100, and we're going to talk about foreclosure activity doubles annually and the part they don't tell us about. We're going to throw some numbers at this because we're still way below the pre-pandemic numbers by about 90%. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. This segment being brought to you by mycdlp.com, mycdlp.com. If you're looking for a better outcome, you're going through divorce, get a copy of the My DYM Workbook. Go to mydymworkbook.com. If you have real property, My DYM Workbook gives you a great tool to help understand maybe some of the right terminology, the correct terminology you might need for getting a better outcome in a divorce. So again, this segment brought to you by mycdlp.com. Continue our conversation. Mary Gaston, Realty Pro 100. We're just simplifying where real estate is right now. If you're thinking about buying, and I think the quote of the day is from Mary, and I think it really is really, really simple, is that, you know something, if you own a piece of property and the property value is down a little bit, who cares?
Who cares?
Right? It doesn't matter because you're not selling unless if you only, think about this. If you were looking at buying Apple stock, do you want it to be up or down? I want to buy it when it's down, right? If I want to buy real estate, I'd rather buy it if it's down, right? All of those things are the same concept. Now, what's going to drive prices down? There's not a lot of catalysts right now to drive prices down. Right now, there's 1 million fewer foreclosures than over the last few years. I'm looking at this slide right here, and I wish I could figure out. I'm not that technologically advanced that I can actually figure this out on my screen. But basically, what's that say? 2.9 million in 2010. There was 2.9 million foreclosures.
Yep.
And right now there's 324,000.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it's not even a blip on the radar.
No.
And then that's a national number. We bring it down closer to home. And again, got this from my favorite title company early this morning. So it's about as close to home as you can get. Notice of trustee sale. That's also a term for foreclosure. Orange County, California, 312.
That's nothing.
Right? I mean, and Riverside, 521 for the whole county.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, those are not going to have any effect on real estate prices. I'm just so it's not enough to mean anything. So we're seeing that the real estate foreclosures are way, 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 way down. So we're not going to think about that concept either. We got this from Rick Sharga, VP of Market Intelligence at Adam. 18 months after the end of the government's foreclosure moratorium, and with less than 5% of the 8.4 million borrowers who entered the CARES Act forbiddance program, foreclosure activity remains significantly lower than it was prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. It seems clear the government mortgage industry efforts during the pandemic, coupled with a strong economy, have helped prevent millions of unnecessary foreclosures. Basically, what it says to me to make this as simple as possible, the government and the banking sector learned a lot in 2008, 9, 10, and didn't make the same mistakes.
Yep.
Right? So we shouldn't expect those same mistakes to come forward. Bill McBride, the bottom line is there will be an increase in foreclosures over the next year. Well, yeah, when you go from 1 to 2, that's a big increase from record low levels. but there will not be a huge wave of distressed sales as happened during the housing bubble. The distressed sales during the housing bubble, but housing bust, easy for me to say, led to cascading price declines, and that will not happen this time. I think they're spot on.
That's what we've been saying for months.
Right? I mean, so if you listen to all of these different sources that are out there, and they're giving you some of these stories that there's going to be a big decline based on what?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the whole thing is, and it doesn't matter where you're living. Do you live in a rural area where you can buy a house with no money down? Or do you live in, well, the only thing that we can't really deal with, which we don't want to get into too much, but I will say the only areas that I could foresee a problem would be areas that the government's getting involved in.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I would say that if you're looking in the rental market, I wouldn't be wanting to buy a rental property in Los Angeles County.
That's what I'm saying. LA City specifically.
Right, LA City. Because you've got government intervention.
Yeah, I mean the county is bad, but the city's worse.
Cities, okay. So, and Mary knows these things better than I do. So think about that concept. So you don't want to be, you want to look at what the government is doing and, you know, pay heed because they can change a market quickly.
Exactly. I mean, and where it starts there, it'll start to spread outward. I mean,
yeah.
It'll start within the city, it'll spread at the county, and other cities will start adopting and
yeah, and there's
nasty bad.
And there's, I mean, if you looked at the news yesterday from Huntington Beach, they're starting to fight back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But we don't want to get in there. We want to try and keep this simple. If you're thinking about buying a house, now is probably a good time.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because just pull out your crystal ball, Mary. So do you think that real estate value? So I'm going to throw this out there because you mentioned it earlier. You got about 2 months until you've got a little one.
Yep.
When your little one is ready to buy her first house in 26 years,
Mm-hmm.
if she does what mom did,
yep.
Are real estate prices going to be higher or lower than they are today?
They're going to be a lot higher.
Right. So she's going to have, thankfully, she's going to have parents that have already planned ahead.
Mm-hmm. So
she may not have to worry about some of the things that the average individual might.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's what parents do is they plan ahead.
Yep.
Right. Real estate values are going to be higher 25 years from now.
Absolutely.
They're going to most likely be higher 15 years from now.
Rents will be higher.
And 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea here is don't worry about trying to time the market.
Nope.
Buy as soon as you can,
yep.
As soon as you can afford it. And think about it. Now you did this. I'm, again, not sharing anything you haven't talked about on radio.
Yep.
You said earlier that you had a co-signer.
Yes.
You probably didn't have the most attractive rate that you've had in your life.
I did what did they call it?
2-1 buy down.
Is that, yes. That is what it was called.
Right. So,
yes.
but you started out, pardon?
So do you know?
Yeah. So let's say, and I don't know what the numbers were. Say you started at 4.5 and then the first.
Yeah. So the rates when I bought, I probably would have qualified for like a 5 something.
Okay.
I think I started off at a 2.75 for the first year. No, it would have been it would have been 4.5 if I had just done outright. But I started 2.75 the first year, 3.75 the second year. Then it was going to lock at 4.75.
Okay. So, and those now, generally they don't help you qualify, but they help your budget.
Yes.
Right. The permanent buy down, if you look at rsrbuydown.com, we show you how to get a permanent buy down that does help with your budgeting. Mm-hmm. But this one here it helps with your qualifying and your purchase power. This one, basically 4.75 was a good rate, mm-hmm. but they got better.
Yeah.
Right. So you were able to say, okay, I was able to afford the 2.7. I mean, you qualified based on 4.75. So you could have
because I had the cosigner.
Right. So you could have qualified. You did qualify for that,
mm-hmm.
but 2.75 was what was more comfortable for your budget.
Because that's what I could afford without the cosigner.
Right.
Which worked out perfectly because I had every intention as soon as I could to get the cosigner off. So I never even hit the 4.75. I refinanced before then.
And got a lower rate.
Correct. I think you locked me in at what?
I don't know, 2.5, 3, somewhere in there.
I think I'm at 2.5.
2.5. So think about that. Now, I don't think they're going to. If rates go down to 2, does that bother you?
No, I'll just refinance again.
And take more cash out?
Exactly.
And what are you going to do with the cash you take out? Buy more real estate.
Yeah, hold it, buy more real estate, see what happens.
Right? Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. It's just nice to have the reserve.
There you go. Right?
Yeah, even if I'm not planning on doing anything right away and buying real estate right away, I have the reserves for when something happens.
So then you can really try and time the market as best as you can, if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. You have options. That's the bottom line. So Mary got into it, at a rate that you needed a cosigner with a rate that you could actually afford, right? And then converted it to something better down the road.
Mhm.
That makes it about as simple as it gets. Buy as soon as you can afford it and adjust.
Absolutely. I look at my mortgage right now. I mean, I look at my 5.6 rate and I throw up like every time I see how much interest I'm paying.
Right.
But I know it's temporary because as soon as rates come down a little bit,
There you go.
refinance.
It's a short-term issue, and you just have a good time with it while you can, and then you got a lot of options. Don't forget though about that Home Select product, 2.4 EPR right now. That's not a bad idea. But as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak out items that affect your house and your bank account. The roof over your head and your bank account is what I usually say. But this morning, I don't know, my mind isn't really working too well. I don't know what's going on today. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean for engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.